Ostrichsized, Finding Heaven in the Midst of Shell. Dedication. This book is my gift to the one who waded deep into my muck and mire, beyond my muted heartbeat, to set me free from myself. Thank you, Jesus. Chapter 1, Son of an Ostrich. Everybody is crazy but you and me, and sometimes I worry about you. My wife and I had an argument. I was right and she was wrong, though she somehow didn't see it that way. She was upset. After making me perfectly aware of how she felt at the moment, I then proceeded to walk into our bedroom, shut the door, and turn on my computer. I had no ability to access my heart and express my opinions, so I stuck my head in the sand. It would be a few days before I would emotionally leave the shell and return to the relationship. The pain I felt upon being paralyzed was too much to handle, so I shut down, hid, licked my wounds, and tried to muster the courage to engage in the future. I rolled over, played dead, I flopped. It takes me a while to process my emotions. My wife, on the other hand, can share her thoughts on the fly. Being a people pleaser who gets intimidated easily, I acquiesced and shut down when she shared her opinions. For me, it was easier to withdraw rather than come up with the words to have an intelligent conversation and expose my heart. Or was it? Running and burying my head in the sand comes naturally. My dad is an expert. My mom is an expert. They each run and hide in their own way, but the bottom line is they both run. My father is more verbal and expressive. My mom keeps everything bottled up inside. And where did they learn to run? From their parents, who learned it from their parents, who learned it from their parents. My journey began back in 1973 when I was born to incredible parents. I was loved, nurtured, and treated like royalty. Still to this day, my parents are married and live in the same house I was reared in. They are some of the nicest, most loving people alive. They devoted 100% of their available energy to my success. However, like all families, they weren't perfect. Though they were sincere and meant well, blind spots were left undiscovered, and it was there in the black hole that I became ostrich-sized. My parents loved me. I was spoiled, doted on, bragged about. I had all of the popular toys and gaming consoles, went camping, played on a tennis team, went to basketball camps, and took a yearly snow ski vacation or two. As a child, I absolutely loved life. As a grown man, I look back with regret. Why? My heart was ostrich-sized. My heart. As mentioned, my parents are great, but they were used to being right, and I allowed them to make a lot of decisions for me. I never learned how to think for myself. For years, my wife would ask me what I wanted, and thinking I was worthy of the greatest Husband of the Year award, I would say, "I don't care, honey. What do you want?" I was so ostrich-sized from my own heart and alienated from my feelings that I honestly didn't know what I wanted. I had lost touch with my heart. Blind spots create stress. Though my parents and I were unaware, much of my life was spent walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace and make sure our family kept the appearance of being flawless. I took on the role of nice guy so I wouldn't upset my father or rock my mom's boat. I shut down. I hid. I rolled over, but I had no idea I was quitting. On the outside, everything looked fine. I assumed it was on the inside. I lived unaware of a dualistic tension that birthed stress, anxiety, and dis-ease. It was here, in the blind spot, that my head distanced itself from my heart. Lining up with my male ancestry, I became passive, tame and domesticated, emasculated. I never found my voice and didn't know who I was. I followed the crowd and hid behind others. I can hear you now. Aw, poor baby. Had ski vacations, trips to Hawaii, and snorkeled in the Bahamas. I feel so sorry for you. Trust me, I get it. Sounds like a miserable life, eh? But here's the deal. I never let anyone in to see my heart, the real me. It felt like no one wanted me. I became an expert at serving others to mask my heart. No one realized I was withdrawing into my shell, not even myself. I didn't allow anyone to see into me, intimacy. And I didn't know how to ask for help. My heart became distant, tainted, and defensive. Though surrounded by externally amazing things, it didn't make up for my ostrich-sized, broken heart I stuffed behind the shell. The pain was real, and I didn't know what to do with it. My subconscious was aware I wasn't at ease. I have vague memories of nervous tension, but I just assumed it was normal, as I didn't have another lens by which to view it through. I was lost in the black hole between the perfect family and the vague awareness something wasn't right. Dualism destroys. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me because of my dream childhood. I don't want your sympathy. I'm not griping and whining. This isn't a blame your parents for everything book. All I'm looking for is the answer to a few questions. How is your heart? Are you pursuing your dream or someone else's? Are you passionate about life? Are you alive or living? Are you hiding, isolated, and numb? Is your heart broken, depressed? Feel trapped, manipulated, and oppressed? Are you punching a time clock? Do you care for others and ignore yourself? Are you envious of others' success? How many medications are you on? Are you diseased? How do you handle stress? What does your waistline say? Does anyone know the real you? Do you know who the real you is? For 37 years, I was ostrachized and didn't know it. In the 20 plus years since high school, my ostrachizedness has cost me over $750,000. Had I known in high school what I know now, I would have saved over $40,000 in tuition, had a great job making 3 times the money, traveled the world, and had a wonderful marriage. Living ostrachized stinks. It has cost me health, happiness, and purpose. It nearly destroyed my life. It led to me quitting a job in a terrible economy with no source of income in place and sent me into a downward 4-year tailspin from which I barely recovered. Ostrachizedness comes in many forms. For me, I drowned in my happiness. My heart broke in abundance. Others are beat, abused, and poor, while their hearts are ripped to shreds and crushed. How is your heart? Having my eyes opened and emerging on the other side of the shell, I have become a deep observer of the human heart. I study people and interact with a wide variety of folks for a living. My job is listening. I am a grief counselor and a hospice chaplain, and I've interacted with people from all walks of life. I have discovered that most live with a broken heart, and many don't have a clue what to do with their broken hearts. The majority of folks don't even know that it's broken. I have learned that one of the greatest factors determining your destiny lies in how you process pain. Some people process pain well. Most lived ostrich-sized. Here is a sampling of folks I have met throughout my lifetime who have been ostrich-sized from their heart and unable to process their pain. Obviously, names have been changed and situations tweaked to protect identity. Broken hearts. Take Karen, for example. She is almost 80 and was so controlled and manipulated as a teen that she still can't think for herself. She is lost and lonely and can't break free of her prescription drug of choice. She was ostracized. Susan is another example. She grew up in a perfect home where everyone wore their happy face because they were good Christians. It wasn't until she was in her 50s that she discovered her happy home was just a masked fear of reality. She too was ostracized. My friend Jimmy had an amazing childhood, one that most people would dream of from the outside looking in. Fast forward 20 years and he's on the verge of divorce, angry, and making the most of a dead-end job trying to find an escape. He was ostracized. I lost a friend, Robert, who died in his 30s after drinking himself into depression. His whole life was ahead of him, but he could not see through his ostrich-sizedness. Another friend, Teresa, was ostracized in her younger years, and it snuffed out her precious life through suicide. Low self-esteem, smoking, and drinking cost her dearly. She never recovered and left behind 2 young children who will never experience the tender embrace of a loving mother who cares. Owen had a free ride to a major college on a football scholarship. He gave up his dream of pursuing the NFL for a girl. Henpecked, manipulated, and controlled. How long do you think their relationship lasted? Now George has lost out on both of his dreams. Ostracized. I had a student once whose father divorced a number of times. He desperately needed love, so he settled for a drama queen. He gave up his dream of going to college because he thought his $10 an hour job was good enough money for both of them to live on. Ostracized for a girl he never married. Susie took college courses she didn't like and landed a great job in a field she didn't want. Why? Because her mom thought it was a respectable career. Ostracized. Everywhere I go, I hear one ostracized story after another. A girl without a relationship with her dad desperately needs love and finds emptiness in the arms of every guy in school. Men in failed relationships consume porn for a quick fix. Desperate housewives yell at their kids and live vicariously through reality TV and gossip magazines. Sluts, slackers, geeks, and bullies. Ostracized. Professionals, successful on the outside, fancy home, God has blessed me, church members. Ostracized. Think rich and famous people are immune from ostracizedness? Think again. Their broken hearts get slathered all over the media. Celebrities? Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, Kardashians, Robin Williams. Athletes? Kobe Bryant, Jerry West, Walter Payton, Tiger Woods. Musicians, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Michael Jackson. How about you? Are you ostracized? I know, you act cool, pretend it doesn't hurt, but when the earbuds are out and the iPhone is off, do you drown in your silence? Do you act strong, tough, and brave because you are a real man? When you drive your car on the way home from work, do you quiet your own voice with the radio? Have to have the TV on to find an element of excitement? Do you eat to find satisfaction and fill the emptiness in your soul? Does the promotion or bonus at work justify the broken family? Are you tired of the two-faced people talking about you behind your back? Have all of your attempts to drown out the pain left you more desperate than before? Tired of your loneliness, pain, and rage? Are you done being a welfarite and living off the system? Are you tired of being afraid to confront your bully? Can you look yourself in the eye and smile? Can you dance naked in front of the mirror while shouting, "I love you"? Are you tired of being ostrachized? Are you really? Many aren't. Most people would rather be sick than well. Utopia. In our heart of hearts, we long for a perfect world. There is something inside of us that wants to follow the yellow brick road and discover a wizard that can say a few words, wave his magic wand, and poof, we're perfect, slender, popular, and rich. Maybe there's a place of magic that, with the push of a button, can give us a new heart, a brain, and courage. Is there a wizard? Is there a God? We are born with this feeling that our home is perfect and our parents are perfect. I have seen children taken from their drug abuser mom who neglects and abuses them, crying out to stay with her. Even in dysfunctional families, we know family is where we belong. We long for our home to be a safe place. We long to have friends we can trust. The problem, however, is that our homes don't look like the Cosbys or the Cleavers, or with the latest news about Bill, maybe they do. We used to learn values from our families or apprenticing under a family friend. Now our parents are busy working, locked up, or are emotionally unavailable. We have lost good role models, and it's rare to find a trustworthy mentor to take us under their wing and challenge us to fly. Does your family guide you? Is their guidance subtle manipulation? Do you have loving adults in your life who care? Are your friends making wise choices and pursuing excellence? Do you feel like no one understands? Again, how is your heart? Do you even know where it is? Odds are you were raised in an imperfect family, and whether your parents tried hard or hardly tried, their legacy impacts you. How do our parents influence us? Where does worry, anger, and depression come from? Is our happiness genuine? What does ostrachized mean anyway? Can we find heaven in the midst of the shell? Life in the shell. The ostrich flaps her wings futilely, all those beautiful feathers, but useless. She lays her eggs on the hard ground, leaves them there in the dirt, exposed to the weather, not caring that they might get stepped on and cracked, or trampled by some wild animal. She's negligent with her young, as if they weren't even hers. She cares nothing about anything. She wasn't created very smart, that's for sure. Wasn't given her share of good sense. But when she runs, oh, how she runs, laughing, leaving horse and rider in the dust. That is from the Message, Job chapter 39, verses 13 through 18. When you think of an ostrich, what do you think of? I usually envision her running, spitting, or burying her head in the sand. The Bible defines an ostrich as flapping her wings fruitlessly, letting her offspring be exposed to the dangerous world outside, letting her kids be trampled on, negligent, not caring, not smart, and a runner. And the kicker, she flaps her beautiful feathers, making sure to look good on the outside. Quite the resume. We are the product of previous generations. We carry the DNA of our forefathers. As a human race, we're good at running, not taking care of our children emotionally, making foolish decisions, and not knowing how to care. If we don't recognize this, we will ostracize our greatness and live buried in the shell. And yes, take it from me, it feels like hell. The majority of people do not live their own life. They live someone else's life. Many don't see the shell that surrounds them and thus don't know how to get out. How can you escape if you don't even know you're trapped? When you allow someone or something else to control you, whether you are aware of it or not, you're living ostrachized. An ostrich-sized person is one whose potential is buried beneath their pain. Pain undermines our place in life. Pain destroys. Pain manipulates us into being someone we're not. Pain, where does it come from? For the purpose of this book, pain is birthed when we're out of alignment, when our heart is living in one reality and our head in another. We become twisted into an unnatural shape. We become someone we aren't, and it hurts. The Bible calls it perverted. It is in the blind spot between head and heart that pain festers and grows and buries life's passion and potential. Here are a few examples of pain. My heart wants to leave work early, but my head knows I need to stay until 5 p.m. Frustration and pain fester until I agree to be a good employee. If I wholeheartedly enter into this assignment, I enjoy it without pain. But if I do the task with resentment, my heart opposed to my head, well, it hurts. A woman is physically abused by her spouse. Her heart loves him. Her head knows he shouldn't hit her. She feels trapped. Until she seeks help and protects herself, she will continue to feel the pain of being oppressed. Again, pain, frustration, hurt, anger, and resentment are birthed when our head is out of alignment with our heart. We feel manipulated, controlled, and oppressed, and many bury their potential beneath that pain. So what? Who cares? Everyone deals with pain of some sort, right? We're not special. Why does it matter? I mean, what can we do about it? My informal analysis shows that 83% of people don't know how to process and release their pain. Pain is everywhere. Life happens and life hurts. What do you do with your pain? Where does it go? Pain is a very dominating influence. And when we can't release it, it brings a controlling influence into our lives. However, pain can be a good thing. C.S. Lewis once said, pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciousness, but shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. The problem, however, is most people don't understand the purpose of pain and won't allow it to be the key to unlock their potential. It does not have to become a source of manipulation and control, sucking the life force out of the human race. There is hope. The result of allowing pain, being out of alignment, to control your life and your destiny is a feeling of hell. I run across many people who allow life to happen to them. Paralyzed by pain, they limp along, impotent. In essence, they allow their source of pain, family, friends, work, mistakes, failures, regrets, shame, guilt, anger, etc., to control how they do life. For 37 years, I played the victim. I was a martyr. I controlled my life by living my parents' life, doing what my bosses wanted, acquiescing to my wife, and allowing others to guide me. I permitted myself to be manipulated by those closest to me so I wouldn't have to be responsible and think for myself. I gave my power away and suffered the consequences. I lived in the shell I was born into, and it produced feelings of hell, but it felt easy and safe. I was angry, depressed, broke, and felt powerless and hopeless to change. It wasn't anyone else's fault. I don't blame my parents, bosses, or my wife. It's not their fault. While our self-centered, self-justifying nature finds it easier to blame outside influences, it takes insight to observe the internal dynamic and watch it unfold. Boldness, desire, and courage are required to enter the blind spot. Selfish. When I was newly married, my wife and I were walking around our neighborhood. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a big black dog rapidly moving closer to us. As I turned my head, I noticed this huge dark monster now charging. Then he stopped and let out a vicious growl. It scared me. Instinctively, not being a dog person, I jumped behind my wife. What a man! What a brave protector. Way to care for my wife. I hid behind her and placed her between my security and imminent danger. I threw her under the bus. Why? I was an ostrich-sized, self-absorbed victim who didn't realize it. At the core of what most of us tap into is a self-centered nature. We want to look good, preserve our life, and be safe. Everything we do for ourselves. I eat for pleasure, watch movies to make myself feel alive, and buy clothes so I can feel good about my body. Even when we give charity, help someone else, or go on a mission trip, it's usually done out of selfish motives. We get a natural rush when serving. I help you because I love the way I feel when I do. Why do I overeat, watch movies, and eat sugar? I want to feel good. The pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain is one of the greatest forces in the universe. Our most noticeable instinct is a selfish, self-preserving nature. It takes discernment to see how ostrich-sized we really are. Slowing down, reflecting, and staring our evil side in the mirror is difficult. It's easier to make fun of the new employee, mock Tiger Woods, or heckle our team's arch rival. Acknowledging our emotional baggage is challenging. As previously mentioned, like my ostrich forefeathers, I was good at running away from life. Whether my wife and I had a disagreement, I would emotionally check out. Whenever we had a disagreement, I would check out. When I wasn't hiding behind her physically, I was hiding behind her emotionally. It literally took me over 3 years of dating and 15 years of marriage before my eyes were open to the pain I caused her through my dysfunction. How many couples make it that far? Most have a spouse who bails on the relationship before allowing that much time to expire. Thank you, Melinda, for your patience. I will share more of my journey later, but understand that much of the oblivious cluelessness men live in comes naturally. We are so busy trying to earn a living and please our spouse that we allow our blind spots to destroy our families, and we never see it coming. Tragic. Blind spots. When you are learning to drive, do you remember how the driver's education teacher always told you to check your blind spots? We might do that when driving a car, but how about while navigating life? Most of us fail miserably at locating the danger in the blind spots. And whether you choose to look or not, danger objects to your happiness, and disaster is closer than it appears. However, there is hope. If I can have my eyes open, then you can too. If I can go from total blindness, depression, despair, and ignorance to insight and power, then anyone can. I am living proof that God exists and miracles happen. I've been hurt, dejected, angry, powerless, and without hope most of my life while thinking I was on top of the world. Trust me, if I can get it, no one is immune from hope. The journey. Throughout this book, I'm inviting you on a journey of self-exploration, which will quickly turn into God exploration. I am challenging you to take a hard look and see what life is all about. I'm inviting you into the blind spots. In my journey, I have discovered a few questions and insights that, when processed, will reduce the rage, give hope, and help you discover your core strength. These questions invite you into a sacred dance with your supernatural dad. I know there are a number of folks out there who think this sounds like psychological mumbo jumbo, let's light a candle and sing kumbaya. I challenge you to give this book a test drive. Why? Because lying beneath pain is supernatural potential. Yes, supernatural, as in miracles, healing, and restoration. Wholeness. If you are not living in a vivid connection with your Abba Father, then I'm willing to wager you're stuck in your ostrichizedness. Natural success hinders supernatural sonship. It's time to kick the devil in his teeth and become the warrior bride we are. It's time for the supernatural to become natural. It's a big deal. Jesus says to love our neighbors as ourselves. And as we will see in a little while, most people don't love themselves and are rendered powerless to love others. The effectiveness of the church and the transformation of our neighborhoods rests in you understanding who you really are. By you understanding your role as a supernatural son or daughter of God, you have potential to ignite the stale, broken church into becoming a powerful, dynamic body that daily crushes shell. Will you enter into this conversation? Will you let me challenge you to go deeper than you have ever gone before? Will you wade in? A few chapters into this journey, you will be challenged beyond your natural comprehension and invited into your supernatural destiny. I want to awaken a part of you that you might not even know exists. I invite you to enter this journey and wrestle with the stories and ideas. Take notes, underline, if you buy the book, disagree, explore, and come out on the other end living your life with generosity as you help others remove the cloak of oppression that brings ostrichizedness. I am excited you have chosen to enter this adventure. I look forward to partnering with you as you acknowledge the darkness, expose the lie, and allow love to transform your identity. It is my prayer that this quest will take you deep into God's heart as He showers you with His extravagant grace and lavishes His tender mercy upon you while restoring your true heart. While I haven't arrived and don't believe we will ever stop growing, I am discovering heaven in the midst of my shell, and I know you can too. The journey awaits. Study guide to chapter 1. November 20, 2014, God spoke 1 Samuel 9:6 into me and said this was my life verse and calling. And it says, He said to me, Behold now, there is a man of God in this city, and the man is held in honor. All that he says surely comes true. Now, let us go there. Perhaps he can tell us about our journey on which we have set out upon. The purpose of this book is to invite you to re-examine the journey on which you have set out upon. At the end of every chapter, I have designed a study guide that has the potential to shed light on your darkness and pain, regardless of whether or not you are conscious of it. I invite you to wrestle with the questions and take them seriously. My mission in life is to help you understand the journey upon which you are traveling. I consider it a great honor to write this book and begin a conversation with you that will take you past your pain and into your supernatural potential so you can maximize every breath you breathe. It will take work to dig through the questions, but the transformation will be worth it. a few questions. Are you the son or daughter of an ostrich? Why or why not? Are there any prominent, reoccurring patterns in your family tree? If so, list them. When was the last miracle you witnessed and or were personally involved in? Is the supernatural natural to you? Define ostrich-sizedness. Step 1, identify your shell.